Hey, everybody. Not everybody made it back yet, huh?
Travel issues. We normally ask you about the good things that happened. What happened with the block on that? Did they see something that you didn't do and exploited, or was it just you not lining up right or out?
Nope, on the block field goal you're talking about, yeah, it's real simple. The protection was good and Brandon mishit it.
Okay.
Yep, just wrapped his foot around it and it was just a total mishit. If it wasn't blocked, it was probably going to be wide left. Just there's no magic to that one. The protection was solid. They had a big, tall guy, but that shouldn't get blocked, and we just mishit it.
Did the surface have anything to do with that? A little bit slick, or was it just a mishit?
Nope, surface was not good between the hashes because the big boys were trampling that thing, but that had no factor on the kick. And I asked Brandon about it because you could tell after the rain and then when the big boys started mushing it down that it got a little bit muddy and pasture-like between the hashes, but that had no factor on the kick. Our footing was good on that. There was a little bit of movement on all the kicks, not slipping, but just the ground was a little bit soft. But he just mishit it, just for no other reason than just got his foot wrapped around it and mishit it.
John Todd Archer with ESPN. Is Turpin's curse that if his first return is really good, they're never going to give him a try again?
I know. That could be. You know, we get a shot and capitalize on it pretty good, and that pretty much is the end of it. I think the first one, I think their kicker mishit it. I don't think their intent was to put that ball in play, just based on how their kicks have gone before then and then how they went the rest of the game. But like we talked about, hey, we might get one shot, and we gotta produce. You know, sometimes we haven't gotten shots, and sometimes we've gotten a few. And I think when we've had the opportunities with Turp, we've produced pretty good. It's been real dry on punt return for a couple of games too, especially since Cleveland. So we just try to bide our time and not force anything. And I keep talking to Turp about not pressing and forcing things because sometimes frustrated returners make bad decisions. And Turpin is not frustrated; he just understands that's kind of the part of his game. And when we get a couple chances, we got to capitalize because there's not many of them for sure.
And I noticed on the last PAT, Zach came in for Steele. Did something happen there with Terrence, or is that just you guys wanted someone stouter? I don't even know.
Great observation. How did you catch that?
Because I saw the two guys run out.
Yeah, so that's good. So after I think it was on the last one. So we had they jumped off sides the first one, then the second one, and then Zach was standing right by me, and he taps me and he goes, "Hey, Terrence is cramping. I'm gonna go get him." I'm like, "Okay," and he was like already running out there. So what a credit to Zach Martin to seriously just take it upon himself, who was also cramping, to just notice his teammate was hurting. So he ran in there at a position he hasn't been on field goal protection before and just subbed Terrence out on his own. And I was like, great. He went out there and we got the last PAT and just, gosh, what a fantastic veteran man to do that, because field goal protection isn't something anybody wants to sign up for. But he understood what it meant, and he did it. Pretty awesome.
Saudis, The Athletic. John, I know it's kind of a repetitive question at this point, but the injuries piling up, how much is this impacting your configurations and what you're able to do on all these different units?
It's impacting it a lot. But it's like I've always said, because you guys asked some great questions, and it's kind of part of a cool challenge to get guys playing different positions that they maybe haven't played before. I'm talking about like mostly the core four: kickoff return, punt return. Where even this past game there was a little bit of movement. Last game Maris was playing a wing on punt. This game Nick Vigil was playing a guard on punt. Brevin Spanford has played a guard on punt. Buddy Johnson went to right tackle. So a lot of moving pieces that I think is healthy for us in the long run, because guys won't get pigeonholed at only doing one thing. So it's Marshawn's not on teams, then he's on teams. Chauncey's on teams, then he's off teams. Overshawn is on some teams, then he's off some teams. And Jalen Brooks has been, four-course special teams player for us, and then his role on offense changed, so he didn't take any reps, and then Flournoy took all his reps. And Jalen Tolbert, was a special teams guy for us all last year, and now he's, making touchdown catches to win the game. So I just know my job is to make sure that there's 11 on the field and they know exactly what to do and they have a good idea of how to execute. But it's fun to be a part of that challenge. But I love our players' willingness to want to be on teams and kind of do whatever it takes to make our part of the game as successful as can be.
Last year, you talked a lot about Wanye and Jalen as guys that stood out, outside of CJ, of course. This year, is there anybody that's caught your attention as a core special teamer and what they've done on special teams? Again, outside of CJ, probably.
Yeah, I think Marquise Bell's been fantastic, but we already knew that, so that's probably not a surprise. His defensive role changed last year as far as more defensive reps, so we didn't see him on teams as much. But Marquise Bell's been fantastic. Nick Vigil, who we've had up for 4 out of 5 games, has been an excellent veteran guy. Buddy Johnson, the last 2 games, has been a big factor for us. Damone Clark, from his role on defense last year to having a role on defense this year, and it's diminished a little bit. And then the 4 phases he's taken over has been really special. I'm super proud of everybody, to be honest with you. There's every one of them belongs. Every one of them competes. Mukawamu, has been a 4-phase player for us, and Hunter Lepke's been a 4-phase guy for us, and we took him off 3 phases against Pittsburgh because his running back role increased. So that was part of the dynamic of the moving pieces. So I could go on, and I won't just for time's sake for you guys, but I'm proud of the guys for battling through position changes and kind of different techniques that are involved with each one of those position changes. And our depth is good. Our depth is being tested, but our competitiveness is high, and I respect that about our guys a lot.
Hey, Babe Loffenberg, 105.3 The Fan. John, coming into the weekend, you guys were the most heavily penalized special teams.
Yep.
I don't know where it stands now because I haven't got all that. But do you take each penalty as its own entity, or do you somehow see a grouping of a theme that's running through something that's getting called, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good call. I think, anything that's a pre-snap penalty, whether it's a delay of game or a false start or a neutral zone infraction, you're kind of like, come on. Those are focus or attention to detail things. When you get a holding on a punt return, or like CJ got a player out of bounds, there's some, like Coach McCarthy talks about, combative penalties that are, I think, part of the game. We work on not restricting in the blocking part of it. We work on, proper tackling techniques and boundary techniques on punt. But the pre-snap ones we just got to eliminate, which we haven't had a lot of. So it's kind of a hard answer because each one, to me, is its own entity. And I think the refs do a fantastic job, but I obviously disagree with some of them. I'm like, come on, man, let them play. The one we had called on Nick Vigil, 83, did a great job of selling it. We were blocking him. He throws his hands up right at the time. We kind of were blocking him, and they threw it. So you could argue it for sure, but I want our guys to block very strongly. And sometimes you might get a little tug, or sometimes, they might sell it and they might draw a call. So, we're going to play a competitive brand of football, and we might get flagged for a few of them.
Joe Hoyt, All City Dallas. I don't know if you saw it, but the 49ers lost their kicker when he made a tackle kind of near midfield, actually, and he wasn't the last line of defense. I'm just curious, you don't have to get into specifics, but is there like a target point for Brandon Aubrey, or like hey, if you're going to make a tackle, it's got to be a certain situation, or how do you kind of prepare him for that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've actually talked about it. In training camp, we did a lot of tackling drills, whether it's actually the contact part or kind of just stay on top of it and turn it back to pursuit part. I might stay away from exactly how we coach it, but we've definitely talked about it, addressed it, and I feel like if it ever got to that point, we would do a good job of handling it. But our guys on kickoff have done a good job. No ball has gotten to our kicker yet, and hopefully that continues to be the case because obviously we're putting them in place, so we're going after the ball and the field position drive starts.
Tyrus Wheat took a bigger role, probably also due to Marshawn Neal getting hurt. What have you kind of seen from him, special teams, in the last year and a half that would suggest that he'd be able to do as well as he did when he took that role?
Gosh, I'm so happy for T. Wheat. So T. Wheat's really only been a special teams guy, very, very limited, defensive reps now in a year and a half, and he wasn't even active last week. And then so all of a sudden now he's taking all the reps on defense, and he took no reps on special teams. So we had to have about 4 different guys replace all his reps on special teams, going back to your question. So I was super proud of him because he got a great chance on defense, and I thought he did a fantastic job. I mean, the one huge hit on Justin Fields was flagged, but it was close. But he's been a tough, super smart, very reliable, very willing player, a big body that moves pretty good, and I think his, ceiling is unlimited. So it was really cool to see him get a lot of defensive work yesterday, and hopefully we get him back on teams pretty soon.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. Back on that question of making a tackle with Brandon Aubrey, it looked like on the block he started to kind of go in and then backed off. Is that you all telling him don't get caught up in those scrums or what?
Yeah, he knew it was a live ball, so it wasn't like he was getting away from it because he thought the ball was dead. So it got a little messy right there. So he kind of backed away from it, lost a little bit of ground in case the ball started to get picked up and scooped and scored. He was going to make sure no ball got to the boundary. He was going to try to turn everything back inside where you got pursuit coming. And he kind of got hit by 51 legally and perfectly well, but you can see he's athletic the way that he fell and got back up. And we talked about the three specialists came in and we did a little film session on our own, and all those things matter. How to be a part of the play, but also protect yourself from the big guys that you don't really belong next to.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks you guys.